Trust Studio Double Fine to conjure such a quirky idea for an online brawler, originating from one of the team's fortnight-long diversions where they follow their zaniest ideas. Kiln is a chaotic multiplayer party game that's as much about creation as it is about destruction. Here, the things you craft become the very vessels you charge into battle. Equal parts physics battler and pottery wheel simulator, Kiln is poised to bring something genuinely unique here. Here are 15 things to know before you buy. Game overview. Kiln is an upcoming party brawler for teams of 4 versus 4, where you'll face off against each other in fast-paced, physics-based matches, which lean into the same chaotic energy as Party Animals, Towerfall Ascension, or even Super Smash Bros., all of course with a pottery twist. The overarching objective is simple: carry water through battle to extinguish the other team's flaming kiln, all while of course protecting your own. However, there is a surprising amount of depth to achieving that goal, where victory hinges on reflex, creativity, and coordination as much as it does aggression. You build what you fight with. Yes, you lovingly sculpt your own ceramics before each battle, then they become the vessel from which you unleash your chaos. This idea is one of Kiln's most distinctive, and it's a clever diversion from typical character selection screens, where your personality bakes directly into your avatar's class. Further, there's a strange satisfaction in seeing something handmade be thrown into combat. Knowing whether it survives, or more likely shatters, is part of the core experience here. Pottery design impacts the gameplay. What's more, your ceramic creations directly impact gameplay, with your finished pot shape and size determining how it handles, its durability, water carrying capacity, and more. Even special combat maneuvers will vary between bowls, jugs, bottles, and the like. More on this later though. The sculpting phase is a fully realized crafting process too, where designing your pottery is as much about strategy as it is creation, with near infinite combinations to concoct something truly unique. Size defines your role. In Kiln, the most effective teams will bring a mix of shapes and sizes to battle. You see, smaller plates and pots tend to be faster and more agile, making them ideal for hit-and-run tactics, sneaking, or even chipping away at larger, more cumbersome pots. Large vases and the like aren't scuppered by their slower speeds though, as they're significantly more durable, allowing them to absorb damage and brute force their way through opposition territory. You can save your favorite designs. Whilst the pottery wheel does provide catharsis through creation, there'll be times when you'll want to streamline the process. Well, Kiln has you covered. You can save up to 3 custom pot designs that can be quickly selected before matches. This will save you from having to recreate your most successful designs each and every time. But given the wealth of builds available during the sculpting phase, your desire to create something new will always be encouraged. Physics-based action drives the battle experience. Combat in Kiln is heavily driven by physics, where battles present almost slapstick quality in their tumbling unpredictability. Pots can roll, collide, and smash across acutely designed arenas, meaning precision isn't necessarily as likely as integral to surviving encounters as embracing the mayhem. In other words, learning how to work with the physics rather than against them is how you'll gain the edge, all whilst having the most fun. Water management is key. And how will you extinguish the opposing team's flaming kiln if not for water? You see, in Kiln, water may be your ammunition, but it's also a resource that you have to manage. As already alluded to, your pot's design denotes your carrying capacity, but you'll need to collect it from puddles dotted throughout the battleground first. Then, you could race to the opposing kiln, but you'll risk spilling it along the way, bumping into barriers or environmental hazards. No, a mix of patience and frenzy might be the key approach, as paradoxical as it might sound. You can switch pots after death. Rather than locking you into a single match-long strategy, Kiln gives you the option to switch pot designs after being eliminated. What this means for you is that you can switch your pot shape, size, and overall design to meet the needs of your team, and adapt to how the battle is unfolding. However, matches might be a little too chaotic to get a full read of what's actually going on, so it'll be interesting to see how the developers provide you with ample enough information to evaluate your team's progress. Pots can be healed during battle. In the heat of battle, it's highly likely your vessel will be chipped or even broken. This wear, however, isn't just for comedic impact, nor to reinforce the fragility of your creation, but to introduce a recovery system whose inspiration comes from a philosophical source. The Japanese art of Kintsugi uses lacquer mixed with gold to repair broken pottery, where cracks become proud reminders of the pot's history. So here, instead of resetting damage, Kiln borrows from this thoughtful practice to bring beauty into an otherwise necessary mechanical process. Special attacks are tied to pot type. Now, we mentioned it earlier, beyond basic movement and combat abilities, special attacks can vary depending on your pot design, with the development team pushing some outlandish capabilities that are perfect for the game's most over-the-top moments. Cups can blast popping corn like multi-directional shrapnel, bottles can transform into projectile swords, plates hurl pies, reorientating jugs morph into megaphones which use sound blast to push opponents away. The list really goes on, demonstrating that pot design isn't just about survivability, but what kind of slapstick powers you can bring into the fray. The pottery wheel is fully realized. We mentioned this earlier too, but the pottery crafting system in Kiln goes far beyond a simple pre-match gimmick. You'll have access to a fully realized pottery wheel, complete with a range of tools, techniques, and decorative options. What's most striking here about this process though is in how approachable the dev team have made it. You don't need to be a seasoned ceramicist, or indeed an experienced gamer really, to get to grips with the Pottery Sim's arcade-like delivery and easy to follow layout. No matter your artistic skill, anyone should be able to chase the most optimal builds, or to simply enjoy the creative process. There is a learning curve. If there's one lingering concern, it's that early previewers have highlighted the game's potential for a steep learning curve. Of course, this will vary between individuals and might not be a problem at all, but it's worth highlighting as everything else we've covered so far has pointed to Kiln being an intuitive, fun-first experience. One point of friction is in the clay firing process, where the suggestion is that manually baking your pot in the kiln, saving it in other words, isn't as clear as it should be. This suggests the user experience could use a tweak, but that is easily fixable by the dev team of course. The core physics-based structure might take some getting used to as well, but that's all part of the fun. The Wedge is a place to show off creations. Outside of matches, Kiln features a dedicated social space known as the Wedge. This lobby allows you to show off your pottery designs with other players. Furthermore, you can also practice your pottery skills, decorate vessels, and generally just hang out. There's a shop here too, where you can spend chips earned in matches on extra stickers, glazes, and decorations. Release date, platforms, and price. Kiln will release on April 23rd to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC via Steam. Price-wise, you're looking at $19.99 for the base game and $29.99 for the Fired Up Edition, which includes extra cosmetics to decorate your creations. Also, the game is included on Game Pass Day 1. PC requirements. Minimum PC requirements, as per Kiln's Steam page, list an Intel Core i5-9400 or AMD Ryzen 5 1600 CPU. GeForce GTX 1650 or AMD Radeon RX 570 GPU, and 16GB of RAM. The recommended hardware, however, includes Intel Core Ultra 5 225 or AMD Ryzen 7 5700X CPU, GeForce RTX 4060 Ti or AMD Radeon RX 7700 XT GPU, and 32GB of RAM. Storage space required is 8GB. So what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.